Man, I gotta hurry. Where is it? They told me this way. Huh? There it is. Which one do I pick? These bathroom doors are exactly the same, identical in every way. I don't feel any preference against neither. I feel so stuck and I can't figure out why. It's weird. I'm afraid to choose one door over the other, because if I pick one, what does that say about my free will? Did I really make the decision, or did my environment bias me towards it as some predeterministic act of fate? Maybe I should just pick one at random. But wait, what even is random? Hold on, I could flip a coin. But dang, I don't have one on me. Now what? I can't take this anymore. My brain's scrambling for any reason to pick a restroom. I need to snap out of this and just make a choice. Hi there. Today I want to discuss the topic of indecisiveness from a philosophical and scientific point of view, and perhaps gather some insights on how we all can become more decisive in the process. And yes, I had to change my pants for this one. What you have just witnessed was my version of a famous thought experiment called Buridan's ass. It is named after the 14th century French philosopher Jean Buridan. I am definitely butchering his name, so let's just call him Buridan from now on. The ass in question is a hungry donkey who is standing exactly equidistant between two piles of hay. Because each choice has the exact same pleasant outcome and requires the exact same effort, Buridan's ass just stands there, frozen between the two choices and can't make a decision. Eventually, it even dies of hunger. The same way that I just pissed myself. So that begs the question, and sorry for asking, but how often do you metaphorically piss yourself? Because if you think about it, we encounter a multitude of choices every single day. Some more important than others, but the case is, way too often we put off decisions because we just can't be bothered to process them right away. And that's a problem. It substantially extends the period from when we first become aware of a new task to the moment we actually take steps to accomplish it. That's the difference between us and the likes of Elon Musk. They are masters of quick action taking. The moment they are confronted with a choice, they decide right away. Me and you, on the other hand, we put it off and wet our pants in the process. But sometimes we do make the decisions. Have you ever stopped to think about how you make those decisions? What guides you when the options seem indistinguishable? You might be inclined to answer, duh, I just pick one of the two, whichever comes first to mind, dude. But why did it come first to mind? Did you decide that by sheer free will, or was the decision more random? Randomness is a fascinating concept that has puzzled philosophers and scientists for centuries. There's still a big discussion on whether there's randomness at the very bottom laws of physics, or whether we live in a purely deterministic world where we only perceive randomness as a side effect of not having all the data to exactly calculate how each event will pan out. If there is no randomness to the lowest part of physics, the world is completely deterministic. Fate exists and it defines your every move from the point you were born, and there's no damn thing you can do about it. Your brain is a deterministically programmed computer in this world. Your senses are merely its peripherals and stream data such as sound, light, pressure, temperature, etc. from your surroundings into it. The deterministic programming in your brain processes those data streams and outputs predetermined behavior, thought, and action. Your thoughts are not yours, but they are the results of the program running inside of your brain. In this world model, you could theoretically calculate exactly what someone's next thought would be, which hand they will scratch their head with, what bathroom they're about to pick, and what they will eat for dinner, even if they haven't thought about it yet. All you would need to calculate these things is to know the placement of all the atoms in the universe. Yeah, my mind is numb as well. So let's find our way back through this wormhole I threw us into and come back to reality. In practice, while all of this is fascinating to think about, it doesn't really matter. Because you don't know the configuration of the world. What does matter is that we perceive randomness, whether it is virtual or not. What matters is that the insights into Buridan's ass can guide us towards becoming more decisive and eliminate procrastination from our lives. Introspecting about this thought experiment, I've identified 3 main takeaways. 1. Using randomness to your advantage. When faced with 2 equally attractive choices, it can feel like a deadlock. By allowing an element of randomness to guide the decision, you can break free of the deadlock and keep moving forward. This could be as simple as flipping a coin using a random number generator, or ask your dog to pick for you. Even going with your gut feeling can be a source of randomness, and often a good one. There might be unconscious factors that guide your gut feeling, and they might be important and yet out of reach for your conscious self. One such example is priming is a psychological phenomenon where exposure to one stimulus influences the response to a subsequent related stimulus. To drive this point home, imagine you are a software engineer and you need to choose between 2 equally suitable programming languages for your new project. Without you even realizing it, you recently came across an article that praised one of the languages for its efficiency related to exactly the class of problems that you are looking to solve. This exposure to positive information about the language unconsciously primes your mind, creating a favorable bias towards that language. When it is time to make the decision, you suddenly feel this gut feeling that one of the languages is better than the other. This gut feeling, which is the result of positive priming, guides you into making a decision that ultimately leads to a more efficient and easier to manage project. In this situation, your gut feeling, influenced by the positive priming effect, helps you make a good decision without you being consciously aware of the source of your preference. So trust your gut feeling if it leans towards one side. Otherwise, if you consciously and unconsciously feel indifferent about the options, choose randomly. Whatever the case may be though, choose fast and move on, otherwise you risk procrastinating on your task for weeks or months to come. My next insight is that FOMO breeds indecisiveness. Fear of missing out is the killer of all joy, and it is something that I have personally struggled a lot with, and I'm sure we all periodically are. FOMO makes it hard to remain stoic and prevents the people suffering under it from practicing gratefulness. By definition, FOMO shifts your thoughts towards what you didn't choose and what you don't have, rather than what you did choose and what you do have. It seeds doubt in your mind and in worst cases can make you regret a good decision and even backpedal it. Now I am reminded by a video clip of Andrew Tate himself where he discusses that even he suffers the feelings of FOMO. Mind you, he is one of the freest men in the world, well, when he's not in prison. He has all the money, all the time, all the connections and all the abilities. At the same time, he has no obligation towards anyone, so he can do exactly what he wants whenever he wants. But that's also his curse at the same time. For every cool thing he does at any given time, there are 1,000 other things he could be doing, but isn't because of the current cool thing he does. If he doesn't stay stoic and humble and doesn't practice gratefulness, he would end up in a state of inaction instead, wondering forever what he should do next. You can't do all the things, so accept it. Understand that FOMO will always be there to poke at you, and that it is a perfectly normal phenomenon. Brush it away, pick your option, forget the other one even existed in the first place, and stay tunnel focused on achieving your goal towards the path you've just stepped into. The final insight is that we might not have free will, and that's okay. Since the nature of randomness and determinism is still unknown, we can't say for sure whether we have free will or whether we are nothing but a chemical computer whose every computation is predetermined by source code programmed in a language called quantum mechanics. So don't worry about it. To you, it feels like you have free will. So accept that as a fact and take ownership of your every decision. Don't attempt to hack yourself into behavior. If you have free will, there's no need to cheat yourself. And if you don't have free will, cheating yourself wouldn't work in the first place, would it? Instead, accept that you take these decisions, you can change things around for yourself. All the results in life are yours to own, and don't piss yourself, guys. Bye.